This Dogman sighting comes out of Jackson County, Kansas, from June the 8th of 2015. It was June the 8th and school was out for the summer break. The witness says that he was lounging around his house being bored, so he decided to go outside and feed his chickens. He had around 7 at this time, saying that his family owned 7 acres of wooded land that they called the back pasture. It was great habitat for the local deer, while there was also a wild boar roaming this area. His family was having a lot of trouble with poachers. They would set up trail cameras, the motion activated ones. Now, as the witness made his way out of the house, he saw a doe laying in the tall grass. So he put down a bucket of corn feed that he had brought out for the chickens. The doe seemed to be sleeping, so he thought he would try to sneak up on it just to see how close he could get to the animal. He wanted to get his mother a picture of it. He says that he was creeping across the yard as slow and silent as he could, moving closer and closer to the deer. Now he was about 10 yards or so away from the deer. This is when he said that he noticed that the deer wasn't sleeping, but that it was dead, saying that it was the most disgusting sight that he had ever seen, while the deer intestines was completely gone. Also that the flesh of the deer was completely shredded to pieces, while everywhere he looked around this animal was absolutely covered with blood. The deer looked like it had been laying there for a while now. Most of the blood was dried up, and the smell of rotten flesh was starting to hit him now, saying that he also smelled urine and a hint of wet dog. He says that besides the rotten deer carcass, while stating that the most thing that creeped him out about this was that there was no insects at all around the deer, saying that the forest seemed deader than the deer did to him. He even noticed that his neighbor's cows wasn't making any noise at the time either. With it being completely quiet, he looked at the deer, saying it looked as if something attacked and ate about half of it, while leaving the rest. Now he says that he started heading back up to his house. While only taking a few steps towards his house, he heard a low snarling growl. He says that it sounded like a wolf, but that it was somewhat distorted, as if it was being played over an old radio. At least that's how he described it anyway. He says against his better judgment that he turned to look to see whatever was making the noise. That what he saw next was terrifying. It looked like the biggest wolf he had ever seen, saying at this time it was on all fours, that the creature had black fur that was matted in places. Now the witness said that its face was what you would expect, but that the snout seemed to be a little short for this creature, which the way this thing was curling its lips made its snout look plenty big enough to him. Now the creature's eyes were a yellow color, not a bright yellow, but a dim amber, or reddish yellow, if that makes any sense. The witness said, while its ears, on the other hand, looked like a Doberman pinscher's when they are cropped, standing straight up to a point. Now its front legs were long and muscular, as if it was a bodybuilder, the witness said, saying that this creature's paws, even if you can call them that, they looked more like hands than paws. That the creature's paws or hands had huge claws at the end of them. Now all of a sudden this creature stood straight up. When this thing stood up, the witness says that he heard the most sickening popping sound you could ever imagine, saying that it sounded like joints popping over a loudspeaker. Now the witness described the creature's body again as being a bodybuilder, very muscular, that this thing looked as if it was pumped up on steroids, saying that it was just so big. From what the witness said, the creature didn't have a tail, or at least not one that he saw. Now, as far as the creature's height goes, the witness said that he wasn't for sure, but that he was 5 foot 4 inches tall at the time of the sighting. But even with this creature being over 10 yards away, that it still towered over him, saying that he came nowhere close to this thing in height. At this time the creature let out a loud howl, which sounded more like a roar to the witness. Then the beast charged at him. Not knowing what else to do, he ran. He says he was moving across the yard just as fast as he could, with all the fear and adrenaline pumping through his body, that it seemed like it took hours to cross the yard, which was probably just a few seconds. He says that he hit the door to the house in a dead run, slamming the door behind him and locking it. He went around to all of the doors and windows, making sure that they all were locked. Now he says as he calmed down somewhat, that he realized that if this creature wanted to kill him, then he would have been dead. The witness says that he is sure that what he experienced was a bluff charge, that there was no way he would have survived if this creature attacked him. Now he was lucky to get away with his life, he says, that although this happened over 2 years ago, that thinking about it is still terrifying to him to this day. Ever since this day, if he goes out into the woods or the back pasture, that he carries a gun with him. So I hope you liked this sighting report. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button so you can keep up with all of our latest videos. And thanks for watching those endless mysteries.